Welcome, welcome. Welcome to another episode of First and Goal. I'm your host, Spencer Young, and I want to get into it's messed up. Hold on 1 second. My audio is jacked up. Hopefully that's better. I'm still hearing an echo. It's very strange. Let's see, audio, mic. All right. This is hopefully that's a little better. All right, we're just gonna go with hopefully it's not doing this on the streams. So welcome to First and Goal, the second episode, where we cover everything related to the Patriots. We're gonna cover the we're gonna cover the game against the Miami Dolphins last week, and then we're gonna get into talking about what to expect from the Pittsburgh Steelers in the upcoming week. Uh, some notable. Let's start with some notable news coming out of the Patriots practice reports this week. So far, we've got a pretty loaded injury report, which is a little bit concerning that Keon White did not practice. Jack Westover was a limited participant. Morgan Moses, limited participant. Jared Wilson, limited participant. Harold Landry, limited participant. Caleb Chasen, limited participant. Christian Barmore, limited participant. Marte Mapu, limited participant. Christian Gonzalez, and Carlton Davis. Not the worst thing in the world. At least they were all there, with the exception of Keon White, who's out for illness. I think the big news that was there was Christian Gonzalez, though. Christian Gonzalez finally makes his return to the field. Hasn't practiced since July. I'm not exactly sure what I'd say his odds are for playing this weekend, but let's just hope he is able to get out there because that would be a huge, huge game changer for that secondary. Now, looking at the game last week, there were a lot of good things that came out of that. I thought Drake May played maybe his best game overall as a Patriot. Certainly this year is a far better performance than the first week. He looked like he had a firm control of the offense, and the line did a pretty decent job. So, all things considered, I think arrows up for everybody on the offense now. Um, I would have liked to have seen a little bit more Travion Henderson last week, but I really can't complain. Um, we did a pretty good job running the ball. Big shout out to Jared Wilson, who had an 88.1 PFF pass blocking grade last week against the Dolphins. That was number one against all left guards. So shout out to the rookie. Congratulations. The Patriots defense, sack leaders in the NFL. And they were they looked like they were held in check through the first three quarters, but they went nuts in the fourth quarter. I heard today on Locked On Patriots that their pressure rate was 66% in the fourth quarter, which is absurd. Uh, just absurd. Robert Spillane, I saw is and Christian Ellis are leading the NFL in missed tackles. Um, it's not great. It's not great. But you know what? It's a very correctable thing. Watching a game, I saw it live. Um, I mean, this is just. I mean, maybe this is honestly probably something to do with the fact that our defensive coordinators hasn't been around much um, since the preseason, and there's nothing he can do about it really. I mean, injury. He had a health scare in the preseason, and he had some other health concern this past week that caused him to miss the game. So we hope that it's nothing serious and he has a speedy recovery and can get back. But it's just attention to detail. It's a lot of instead of wrapping up, he's throwing his shoulder. He's trying to hit stick people instead of just wrapping up and taking them down. And he's a really good linebacker. So I can't imagine that this is something that won't get corrected. But still, wasn't great to see. Um, Carlton Davis, much better showing in week 2 than in week 1. Allowed 6 yards in coverage versus the Dolphins, third for fewest among the 40 quarterbacks to play 35 coverage snaps in week 3. So fantastic job. Jalen Hawkins had an 85.5 PFF grade. That was his career best since week 5 of the 21 season. He allowed 0 yards across 44 coverage snaps. So excellent job, Jalen Hawkins. The Patriots defense played 5 snaps in man against the Dolphins. That was their fewest since the 22 season. So that was an interesting move. I do think they might move to a little more man coverage when Gonzalez is healthy. But as it stands right now, I don't have any problem with what they're doing. They got a young secondary. Zone's probably the way to go. Rolling the man if you absolutely need it. So that's more or less it. Reviewing the great performances from last week. Um, you know, the guys that really were kind of not great. I already mentioned a couple of them. Spoiling. Alex Austin didn't look great. Morgan Moses, I mean, he was okay in the run game, but his pass block was okay, um, just okay. Travion Henderson, I don't really fault him. He didn't really get much run. It was basically Mondre Day, which is fine. But I would expect that they're going to find ways to get Henderson into the game. As far as uh, as far as winners that I didn't mention, Will Campbell also had a great day. Milton Williams had a great day, very disruptive. I want to say Milton Williams has been exactly what we signed up for so far this year. So him and Barmore have been highly disruptive in the middle. So we're sitting at 1-1, same as the Steelers coming into this game. What to expect from this game? I expect probably physical defensive matchup. Both defenses have been having a hard time stopping yards from being put up and points. So I expect they'll probably give up some points, but they will also probably have some pretty decent pass rush numbers. Between the Patriots and Steelers, I expect we're going to have some fireworks in respect. So I hope our line can hold up. In that vein, let me run through the Steelers injury report real quick because they have a bunch of did not participate. So we got T.J. Watt, Alex Highsmith, Darius Slay, Joey Porter Jr., and Deshaun Elliott. All did not participate in practice today, with Derek Harmon as a limited participant and Max Sharping as a limited participant. Now, word is Harmon is just coming back, and he is probably not going to play this weekend. Joey Porter Jr. is probably not going to play this weekend, and we'll see. We'll see about the rest of them. It looks like T.J. Watt and Darius Slay were not injury related. They just had rest days, so I expect they'll probably play. Alex Highsmith has an ankle, so we'll see. That's obviously a problem with Highsmith and Porter to play, but we shall see. Deshaun Elliott has a knee injury, so I don't really know the extent of all these injuries from the Steelers. So the Wednesday report's kind of preliminary. So, I would say wait and see. We want to see what that's looking like on Friday. So what is going to be the matchup? What's going to be the big matchup? Obviously, we got Aaron Rodgers versus Drake May. That's going to be the one that everybody talks about. But I think the bigger one to look at is potentially if Christian Gonzalez can get on the field. Christian Gonzalez is a shutdown corner, and if he can get out there, he has the kind of ability that you can put him on DK, and he will effectively take him out. It's a weapon we haven't had yet this year, so I'm hoping to see it. But obviously, we want that hamstring to be right before we risk him. So we will see. As far as the receivers are going, Kayshon Boutte looks fantastic. Stephon Diggs looks fantastic. You would never have thought Diggs is coming off an ACL. He is moving freely. He's cutting. He looks far better than anything I could have expected going into the season. I was honestly thinking that we probably wouldn't see him until like week 6. So the fact that he made it into the preseason and out without aggravating anything, and now he's been starting and playing a significant role is beyond words. The running game looked pretty decent. I think we're beginning to see some development on the offensive line and on the left side. Obviously, when you start 2 rookies at 2 key positions on your offensive line, and your center's new to the scheme, basically four linemen on this line are new to the Patriots this year, and two of them are rookies. That's always a recipe for disaster out the gate, and I've been very impressed with how they've played so far, considering they, you know, Wilson Wilson showed a lot of growth um, this past week. He was having a really hard time in the preseason. Looks like he's finally starting to turn the corner. Now, I mean, a lot of this stuff, eh, Campbell and Wilson are, blue chip prospects. So I really believe that their development is going to lead to great things down the road. But it's going to take a while for that group to gel and be able to really show what they're made of. Now, we had 33 points against Miami. Do I think we can pull that off against Pittsburgh as well? Maybe. Um, Pittsburgh hasn't actually looked that great defensively so far this year. Um, their their lapse is almost identical to ours, to be honest. Um, and they're a little further away from health, I think, than we are overall. So I do think we're going to have a shot. Should be a good game. I know the Patriots, defensive players who were here last year. Remember Aaron Rodgers from his Jets game last year when Rodgers went scorched earth on us. I do believe that was his best game of last year, statistically. And I really hope that there's not a repeat of that. So um, let's go in there healthy and get after him. I think if we can put pressure on him up front, he doesn't move so well anymore. That's the recipe. You get pressure in his face, and we'll be able to make some stuff happen. And then from an offensive perspective, I mean, I thought they did a great job. They established the run. They got Stevenson going. Um, they got the passing game going. They're able to work short and intermediate and take their shot downfield. The touchdown pass to Booty, fantastic. Um, we got to see a little bit of Mac Hollins. I think, Mac Hollins is such a big target. He's going to be a weapon in the red zone. And, that was a great catch on his part, great throw. I think we're going to get to see a little bit more of that in this game. I think he's going to be a little overlooked because people are going to be trying to take away Booty and Diggs, and he's that third guy. So sometimes just based on what kind of scheme you roll out there offensively, you can get those guys open. I think the important thing though is for us to come out the gate and establish the run and get those safeties start walking up, trying to stop the run. That will open everything up for us. From the Steelers' perspective, I think obviously now that Aaron Rodgers is there, it's the Aaron Rodgers show, right? So last week I thought they struggled to kind of recognize what they were seeing on the field and adjust accordingly, and it showed. They got stopped pretty cold last week, so it's as good a week as he had in week one. Aaron Rodgers had that bad a week in week two, so he's probably going to be honestly somewhere in between. So we'll see what that looks like. what are my what are my keys to the game? Running game, playing aggressive defense. Mistakes have to be cleaned up.
Are you getting better? Or you work? I'll,
That's the biggest thing is that we got to clean up. We got to clean up the mistakes. There were too many procedural penalties still leaving week two. Um, if we play a clean game, we should be we should be in shape. If we're looking if we're looking at uh, matchups, going back to the matchups again, I think it's going to be important for the Patriots to stop the run. The Steelers are going to try, especially with the Patriots playing more zone. Um, they're gonna try and establish the run. So we are gonna have to make sure that we are getting after it. If, making sure we're contained. Don't let them get going and make them uncomfortable. Make them throw. I think if we are able to get, I think we're able to get that done. It should be a W. It's a home game, so I expect that they're going to have their hands full with us in Foxborough. The fans are always loud. Um, Pittsburgh used to inclement weather, although I'm pretty sure the weather report for Foxborough this weekend's not going to be anything crazy. The thing is, we've seen Rodgers a couple times now as Patriots, so now I think we kind of have a little something to expect from him. Um, he's still a good quarterback, but we just can't let him get going. Um, his biggest thing is being in rhythm, so we got to disrupt that. Now, I expect they're going to do that because that's what we've been doing both games this year so far as we run stunts and blitzes. And we're trying to get in there and break through. So it's that's really going to be it. It's whatever line wins is going to set the tone for this game. I'm just hoping it's ours. All right, guys. I think that's it for me. I'm going to get out of here. Please like and subscribe and catch us tomorrow where I'll get on with Dead in the Water with Turf. We'll be on 8 o'clock on or about. I think we'll be watching Thursday Night Football tomorrow. So until then, I'll see you later.